Praise the Most High Yahawah, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Creator of all things, the God who freed the children of Israel from Egypt, Babylon, and destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah with brimstone and fire. Okay, so I'm going to show you how the Holy Bible is missing a whole lot of history of the children of Israel. So if you read the Holy Bible, it doesn't have all the books. Okay, it's missing the Apocrypha. And that's because the Protestant church, which is the Catholic Church, took it out in the 1800s. Now I'm going to explain to you why they did that. I'm also going to explain to you what books you can read to get the rest of the history that was taken. So first, you got to know about Yahshua, the son of Josdek. Yahshua, the son of Josdek, served as a high priest in 515 to 490 BCE in the common list of the high priests of Israel. And you can read this and it'll show you all the list of the high priests of Israel. And he was chosen to be the high priest for the reconstruction of the second Jewish temple. And the first temple was destroyed by the Babylonians. Nebuchadnezzar II of the Neo-Babylonian Empire in 587 BCE. So after the Babylonians destroyed the first temple of Solomon, then it was reconstructed after we came out of the Babylonian captivity. So after the second temple was built, then you had Herod the Great, who reconstructed the temple and called it Antonia. And you also had Antiochus. Okay, so then you had Antiochus. The Greeks and those friendly towards them were united in the community of the Antiochians. The worship of Yahawah and all of the Jewish rites were forbidden on pain of death. And the temple, the second temple and altar to Zeus Olympus, was erected and sacrifices were to be made at the feet of an idol in the image of the king. So Antiochus made idols of himself, and he made them sacrifice swine's flesh upon the altar in the second temple. And then Judas Maccabees stood up and defeated Antiochus and took back the second temple. And he led a revolt against Antiochus, who outlawed Judaism, and he rededicated the temple in the festival known as Hanukkah. He also defended Judea from the attacks of neighboring tribes. And he died in battle against the Seleucid general Nicanor, who was sent by Demetrius to crush the rebellion. Then he had two brothers, Jonathan and Simon. And he fought against the Greek invaders, which are the Romans and the Europeans today. But this is what they were at this time. So then there's Josephus. Josephus initially fought against the Roman Empire during the First Jewish-Roman War. But it's actually the Yahoo-Roman War. And then he surrendered in 67 CE to the Roman army led by Commander Vespasian, which is Titus Flavius' father. And Josephus was serving as Titus Flavius' translator when Titus led the siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD. And that's when Titus Flavius destroyed the second temple. Okay, so this is Titus, and he is the one that destroyed the second temple. Okay, so Josephus was born in 37 CE, and he died in CE 100. Josephus wrote the works of Josephus. So he was the prophet at that time who was able to write the history of what happened to Jerusalem. Okay, so after the second temple was destroyed, then there was Zealots who were practicing Yahudaism, and it was led by Eleazar ben Yar. Eleazar ben Yar led the group of Yahuds to Masada and fought the Romans, but then they perished. And that was the end of the reign of the Israelites in the land of Jerusalem. Okay, and then there's Bar Kokhba revolt in 132 and 136 CE. Then they changed Judea province to Syria Palestina. So this is Simon Bar Kokhba, and he came and led a 3-year independent Jewish state. He died in 135 CE because he was killed by the Romans and fortified a town of Baton. So this was pretty much the last revolt that we had, and ever since then the Romans took over Jerusalem with the Syrians and the Palestinians, and they changed the Judea province to Syria Palestina. And as you can see, it was worked in with the Romans and the Palestinians and the Syrians, which are the Gentiles. So what you guys need to understand is that there was nobody named Jesus that died. Okay, there was many other zealots that died. So around, the early CEs, which they call it AD, okay, that stands for Anno Domini calendar. But you had Romans that became prodicators of the province of Judea. And Jonathan was a high priest, and he was killed by Antonius Felix because he hired robbers with daggers, and he was murdered at the Second Temple. Doris, a citizen of Jerusalem, to hire robbers to kill Jonathan by promising to give a large sum of money. These assassins succeeded in killing Jonathan during the Jewish festival and were never caught. The main source that mentions this high priest is the Antiquities of the Jews by Flavius Josephus. So this is why you should read the works of Josephus Flavius, is because you will learn about the rest of the history of the children of Israel and how we ended up in America and scattered abroad the four corners of the earth. And who did it? It was the Romans who did it, the Palestinians, the Syrians, and even the Hamites. So the children of Israel that kept the laws of Moses fought against the Romans, and they rebelled. Okay, and they were called zealots because they were zealous for the laws of Moses. Okay, so you had Judas of Galilee, or Judas of Gamala, and he was a Jewish leader who led resistance census imposed for Roman tax purposes by Quirinus in the Judea province in 6 CE. He encouraged Yahoos not to register, and those that did had their houses burnt and their cattle stolen by his followers. So this is what they did, is they would fight against the traitor Hebrews and the Romans. And this is why they call them, robbers and zealots, because they seen them hurting their own wicked people. Okay? Because we don't let the wicked get away no matter who they are, whether they're a Hebrew or whether a Gentile. So understand, as you can see, the fourth sect of the first century Yahudiism. The people that actually defended the laws of Moses practiced Yahudiism. They did not practice Christianity. Christianity is Hellenistic Judaism. Was a form of Judaism which is following the books of the Bible, but not praising Yahweh. And that combined Jewish religious tradition with elements of Greek culture. Okay? And the Greek. So any Christian pastors are considered Hellenistic. Okay? So they're just Hellenistic teachers. They're teaching, traditions of our culture, but they're mixing it with Greek culture, and they're praising Jesus instead of praising Yahweh and following the laws of Moses. They say that you don't have to follow the laws of Moses, but you should follow Jesus, and that Jesus said that the laws of Moses are done away with. So that means that you should listen to what Jesus says. But that's the complete opposite. You should continue on being zealous for the laws of Moses and praising Yahweh by his name, and not going after Greek culture and Hellenistic Judaism, aka Christianity. Praise Yahawah and repent and keep the laws of Moses, because the great judgment is coming soon, and it doesn't matter what you believe, it matters about what it is. And Yahweh will spare no wicked person, and Yahweh will pay all those who take his name in vain to their face.